Hi guys, so this video is going to take you through all of our prompts for this semester. Alright, and so you can find this video under the Paper Resources tab on Blackboard. Okay, it'll be right here. And once I've completed the one for this year, you'll see different times for each of the projects that I go through. And then you can see the paper prompt right here, and I have it open at the top. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is kind of just tell you a little bit about this document, okay? So what I've done here, you'll notice that I've kind of used colors, okay? So you'll notice that every time you see the word social issue, that'll be in blue. I just kind of want you to keep these terms separate in your head. So for our semester, we are going to be choosing a social issue. So something like global warming or the death penalty, hand washing, ocean pollution, racism. There's so many different social issues, and you'll be able to look at 60 different examples on Blackboard, but just so you can kind of get an idea right away what I mean by social issue. It's really anything that's going on in the world, essentially. So in the document, you'll notice that every time, like I said, you see social issue, it's going to be in blue. That is because I want you guys to stay kind of focused on what I'm looking for. The red indicates all the due dates and kind of main criteria. So you'll notice the page length here is in red. You know, this tells you exactly what you need to do here. You need a visual, the page length again. So just notice what's in red. Page length, due dates. And then when we get to that project with all the colors on it, I'll show you what all that means. But here we go. Let's get started here. An important part of a university education is learning how to identify, think critically about, and respond in writing to important public issues. Our English 205 class focuses on writing in various settings. For your projects this semester, choose a social issue or controversy, one related to your field of study or some other issue about which you deeply care. Choose wisely, since this topic will accompany you for the whole length of the course. You will explore this issue for different purposes and in different genres. Examples of social issues can be found on Blackboard in the January 5th folder by clicking on the 60 Powerful Social Issue Ads link. So we can go to that now. And actually, I'm sorry, I'll revise that. It's the January 3rd. Okay, January 3rd folder. 60 Powerful Social Issue Ads. So I'm not going to go through it right now because it's on Blackboard, but you can kind of see, deforestation, child abuse, plastic bags, human rights, drunk driving. So you can kind of go through and see the kinds of social issues that will be conducive to our semester here. Okay, so for your projects, your goal this semester is to develop 4 distinct projects that, when read together, form a complete argument. Each project will argue your stance on your social issue in a different way. It may be helpful to think of these projects as a portfolio, each piece attracting a different kind of reader who will be persuaded by different techniques. So you guys, once you choose your social issue, that'll remain your overarching topic for the entire semester. And then you are going to create 4 different projects, excuse me. And I'm going to go through them all in this video. So I'm asking you to create 4 different pieces that together shape a coherent whole so that your reader can get a sense of how the pieces connect and what the overall frame or question is. In order to define this frame or question for yourself, you will write an introductory piece or a proposal. And this will be the first thing I talk about. Okay. All 4 pieces should be balanced, meaning contribute equally to the entirety of the project. In other words, approach each part with equal diligence so that each piece contributes meaningfully and significantly by adding something to the argument in a way that no other approach could. The evidence used must fit the genre, i.e. is more academic in the last 2 pieces than in the first one. Still, each piece must show that the writer has researched the topic thoroughly enough to persuade the reader that the presented perspective is valid. The evidence must be presented fairly and add enough depth to further the reader's understanding. This means that the writer A cannot rely on 1 or 2 pieces of evidence, and B must use scholarly material to gain credibility. Each project is specifically outlined in the remainder of this document. There are 2 samples on Blackboard, one on the death penalty and one on hand washing, and I will refer to these samples throughout this document. So those 2 social issues, the death penalty and hand washing, I have samples for all 4 projects, so you can kind of see how the whole thing unfolds. and I will show you bits and pieces of them in this video. Okay, so this marks the end of the introductory part of this video. We're now going to move into the proposal, which is our first piece. Okay, so the rough draft is due Wednesday, January 3rd. The final draft is due Sunday, January 7th. So you will write a short, approximately 1.5 pages proposal, including a short description of the issue's context with a bibliography of the sources you intend to use. The bibliography, of course, will be a work in progress and will need to be amended once you approach the next parts of your project. Below is a skeletal outline. Your proposal should be written in paragraph form. Okay, paragraph form. I have filled in the outline with some sample information for global warming, but your proposal, of course, will be on whatever social issue you choose. There are 2 sample proposals in essay form on Blackboard, of course, one on the death penalty and one on hand washing. This outline was adapted from your proposal's textbook reading, and your outline points are bolded below. So you need to state the problem, for example, our global temperature is rising. You need to present a solution, for example, we need to lower the emission of greenhouse gases. You need to describe the implications or ways to implement the solution, which could be that everyone should buy an electric car or trade in their current car for electric. You also need to examine a precedent, and a precedent means to establish a standard. So think about here, why does your social issue exist? What has happened in the past to allow this social issue to exist? So that sounds a little bit abstract, but for example, in 1980, Toyota came out with Prius, which emits 50% less greenhouse gas. Okay, if you're doing something like the death penalty, you might want to cite a court case, for example, of the first person who was convicted and sentenced to die, right? So that could be a precedent. Concede a problem. Not everyone can afford an electric car. You want to refine your proposal. So for those who can't afford a new car, they should get in a carpool, for example. Describe what will happen without the change. So our temperature will continue to rise, right? So reiterate, buy electric. So this is a very skeletal outline as mentioned up here. So again, you are going to turn this into paragraph form. So I have included 2 sample proposals on Blackboard. So I am in the Wednesday, January 3rd folder. Okay, so at the bottom, you will notice the 2 samples. So we can quickly look at the death penalty one. So she starts out with capital punishment, the definition. Here's her precedent right here. It's been abolished in 102 countries, but it's still illegal and currently used by 31 states. Okay, so she explains why it's a controversial issue. She explains how many people have been exonerated. They're erroneous convictions, right? And so she goes on here, and you can kind of pinpoint where she's hitting the things in the outline. Here's her clear stance. It's a failed government program. Without reform, we will continue to imprison and execute innocent people. There she's saying what will happen without the change. Enhance our law enforcement. So here's what we need to do. Implement mandatory DNA. Adequate legal counsel, right? These are all solutions. She talks about how we can accomplish this. We'll need to enact new legislation, refine policies, appeal to voters, right? So, and then she continues, and then she has her little conclusion here. So notice it's about 1.5 pages, and she has a working bibliography here that she will add to as she continues through the process. But here the proposal essentially is just to give some background information and the things in the outline so I can see that you will be able to complete the next 3 projects for the semester. So I will give you feedback on your final drafts here, and you will get feedback from your peers on your rough draft. So that marks the end of the proposal section. There is another sample on Blackboard right underneath that one. And so next we are going to hit the profile. Okay, so moving on to the profile now. Back to our prompts, we just scroll down. Profile. Okay, so our rough draft is due Wednesday, January 10th, and the final draft is due Sunday, January 14th. And these are the readings here that can help you with this. So remember in the beginning I mentioned that in red, these are the important things to remember. Blue is social issue, okay? Orange now, everything in orange refers to the profile. The reason that I've decided to color coordinate this is because some people have a really hard time differentiating between what I mean by a profile and their explicit argument. These are 2 separate things. So I'm going to go through the profile now, and hopefully this will all come together for you. So for your first official project, choose a person, group, place, or event that is central to the social issue you wrote about in your proposal. You will discuss how this group, person, etc. is central to your social issue by explaining the person's relevant experience, the organization's mission or goals, the place's significance to the social issue, or the event's relevance to the social issue. This is not a formal argumentative essay. Instead, you will take a snapshot of your profile topic and explain how that topic is pertinent to your social issue. The explicit argument on your stance on your issue will come later as a separate project, which will be the commentary, which is our last project here, argumentative essay. So for the profile, you are simply profiling, right? You are taking a snapshot of the person, group, place, or event that you choose. So it's best to illustrate this with a couple examples here. For example, the student who chose the death penalty as her social issue, notice again, death penalty is her social issue, it's in blue. She chose the Innocent Project as her profile subject. Okay, so this is an organization that works to overturn wrongful convictions of inmates. Notice that she discusses how the organization was founded, what the organization does, and specific cases that the organization helped to overturn. Note that the student is not yet arguing against the death penalty outright. She is only discussing the Innocent Project's contribution to the cause. Okay, so if you're keeping track of the colors here, she's only doing the orange, right? She's only focusing on the Innocence Project. What is it? What have they done? What cases have they helped to exonerate? The student is not saying, I am against the death penalty yet. That will come later in our final project. Simply highlighting the Innocence Project. So we can go to Blackboard. Assignments tab, the January 7th folder. If we scroll down, we will find the death penalty sample right here. Okay, so look, and also just so you know why she has a picture, notice you need a visual for your profile. Okay, so she has a picture of the Innocence Project. She's talking about the use of technology, DNA technology, their main objective to free vast amounts of innocent people. Okay, so here we go. How the organization was founded, right? That whole paragraph is about that. In the beginning, there were no laws that supported the right to access post-conviction. And then thanks to the Innocence Project, that has changed, right? And then she continues what the Innocence Project has done over the years, addressed eyewitness misidentification, etc., etc. But everything in this whole paper is about the Innocence Project. She's talking now about, different numbers here. Thanks to the Innocent Project, able to identify 150 real perpetrators, which is awesome. Here's a specific case, right? Man spent 15 years due to eyewitness misidentification and false confession out of fear of the death penalty. And then they exonerated him. This whole thing is about the Innocence Project, and she has two good pictures that depict that. Okay? So again, the student, is not arguing against the death penalty yet, okay? And then in the second sample, so another example, the student who completed her project on hand washing decided to profile Miriam Sidibe, a woman who advocates for children to wash their hands to avoid spreading and acquiring oftentimes deadly diseases. Again, the student is not yet arguing that we need to wash our hands. Instead, she is discussing only Miriam Sidibe and her contributions to the hand-washing cause. So again, orange, Miriam Sidibe, wash our hands is in blue. She is focusing on the orange, okay? If we go back to Blackboard, her sample is right here. So she starts right with the person's name. She gives a brief description of her TED Talk. And this is her, this is Miriam right here. And she goes on to talk only about Miriam, okay? Here's another picture, help a child reach 5. Okay, by 2020, Miriam hopes the program will have educated 1 billion people. Miriam co-founded Global Hand Washing Day, okay? So everything is about this woman and what her contribution has been to the cause. But the student here is not yet saying we need to wash our hands. This is a snapshot of Miriam, okay? So hopefully hopefully this is becoming a little clearer. Okay, so just a bit more on the profile. The purpose of your profile is to make concrete and personal what would otherwise remain abstract and remote. Even though your profile presents the chosen entity as seen through your eyes, your text should avoid I and focus on your subject and describe it in a variety of rhetorical strategies. And by using appropriate appeals, structure, and tone, the profile does not aim at an academic audience but rather a general reader. Still, your use of sources needs to establish your ethos. Include a visual of your topic, at least one, okay? It should be 3 to 4 pages, well-integrated quotations or paraphrases, clear organization and cohesive paragraphs, correct grammar, MLA, engaging style of writing, different rhetorical strategies, and a works cited page. Okay, so this concludes our profile prompt. So now we will move into the fact sheet. Okay, so for the fact sheet, notice here the logo, just the facts. Okay, so we are now moving on. Notice we are moving on from the orange. We are no longer talking about the Innocent Project, for example, or Miriam Sidibe. We are now moving into the social issue. Okay, so for example, for our 2 examples, this now would be on the death penalty overall and hand washing overall. Okay, and according to the logo, we need just the facts. That's literally all we need. So we will do a 1 to 2 page fact sheet using facts, graphics, bullets to inform and persuade in a neutral, objective tone and with the help of visual aids. Fact sheets communicate quickly specific points and information, strongly relying on logos. In short, they are simple arguments using a combination of visual and text written and targeted at a specific audience or a wide range of general audience of readers. For this project, you will do additional research on your topic, finding expert sources to establish your ethos, which are scholarly journals, respected organizations, government agencies, books by noted professionals, thus shedding a new, more factual light on the social issue of your choice. Social issue. So now we're back to, right, death penalty, hand washing, global warming, right? You can format the fact sheet any way you'd like. However, you do need to use footnotes. See Blackboard for help with this. You can use subheadings to separate your facts, a T-chart to compare 2 different ideas about your social issue, a flowchart, any format that you think will be most effective in conveying your argument. You will not, however, comment on any of the facts. The facts should speak for themselves and point the reader to your social issue and your stance. Okay, and then there's, of course, your examples. So if we go, assignments, fact sheet. So I have a video on how to format your footnotes, a couple links here also to help you with footnotes, how to do some research on the library, and then your 2 samples. So here's the death penalty one. Okay. It got a little cut off on the PDF, but so she has her title, and notice here she just has her facts in columns, and then her footnotes underneath, and then she has a graphic of the death penalty. Percentage of death row exonerations by contributing factor. Mistaken eyewitness identification, perjury, etc. Okay, so notice the graph here has to do with facts. We are no longer doing a profile picture, right? We don't need just a picture of someone behind bars, right? We want factual graphics now if we're going to use graphics for this project. So this is one way to lay out your project. Okay, here's the hand washing one. So she decided to do subheadings, right? The problem, the solution, she has a graph here. The basics, areas most often missed during hand washing, right? Some more statistics, how to wash your hands, and then her bibliography, okay? So you can go ahead and kind of scroll through both of these to see the 2 different approaches. Either way is fine with me, or you can, like I said, you can have a flow chart, a T-chart, a Venn diagram. It really doesn't matter how you format it. It does not need to be an MLA. In fact, you don't really even need this header as long as your name is on it somewhere. What I do require, however, is the footnotes, and again, that instruction is all on Blackboard for you. Okay, so literally a list of facts. All right, so that concludes the fact sheet prompt, and last we will move into the commentaries. So after you have profiled and thoroughly researched your topic, create 2 commentaries. Your purpose is to critically analyze and interpret your social issue and to help your readers to understand it and its implications. Since you will write for two different sets of readers, this assignment will also give you the experience of how writers must shift the same material as well as their tone, style, and use of appeals in order to fit a new rhetorical situation. Okay, so that's just kind of some background to commentaries. Both rough draft due Wednesday, January 24th. Final draft, please note it's due Friday the 26th, which is the last day of our course. Commentary number 1, straightforward, 6 to 8 page argumentative essay. So as I mentioned in your profile prompt, this was not supposed to be an argument yet. Okay, this is just a snapshot on a person central to your social issue. Now I'm finally letting you say how you really feel, okay? This is your chance to finally give your explicit argument about your social issue. In our Blackboard examples, one student explicitly argues against the death penalty, giving several reasons why she thinks we need to abolish it, and the other student gives a clear argument about hand washing being a viable solution to many of the world's diseases. Okay? The goal for commentary number 1, which is also known as the essay commentary, is to put everything together that you've been working on this semester into one coherent, sustained, argumentative essay. For this first commentary, you can reuse material from your previous projects, i.e. the proposal, profile, and fact sheet. Most students find it helpful to return to the proposal from the beginning of the semester and expand upon what they've written, adding facts from their fact sheet and using the profile topic as an example. However, depending on your social issue, you will determine what, if any, material from your previous projects will be most useful to you. There are samples on Blackboard to help you, and the essay is worth 150 points towards your overall score. Okay, so criteria for the essay: you need a clear thesis on your stance, clear thesis about your stance on your social issue, at least 5 sources which you can reuse from previous projects, or find new ones, or both, comprehensive analysis and exploration of the chosen issue, written for a clearly defined audience. This one will be more academic in nature. Clear organization of cohesive paragraphs, correctness in grammar, works cited, and this will be MLA. Okay? Straightforward, argumentative essay, right? You can include counter arguments, right? You know, others might say that we need the death penalty because it's eye for an eye, however I think, right? So you can definitely include counter arguments in this one with rebuttals. Commentary number 2. Now this is what I'm most excited for. Your second commentary will be the creative commentary. For the creative commentary, you can choose from specific genres such as formal commentary or parody, a commentary aimed at a specific social or age group, a visual such as our cartoon commentary of your own making, Twitter message, or a more literary commentary such as a poem. There are no limits to your creativity with this project. You can literally create anything you'd like as long as your social issue and your stance are clear. The only thing I ask is that you create something. Simply taking an image or video off of Google will not suffice. There are lots of examples on Blackboard. The creative commentary is worth 50 points. So you need to clearly explore your social issue. The social issue and stance can be clearly identified and has some creativity. So please note that both commentaries will receive separate grades and have separate submission links on Blackboard and are both due the last day of our class on Friday the 26th. So again, commentary 1, 6 to 8 page essay, commentary 2, creative. So let's go to Blackboard. The 21st folder. Okay, so you will see the essay commentaries on the death penalty and hand washing here. I will let you go through and read those thoroughly. And then I just kind of went nuts. So I gave you so many creative commentary samples. Here's the death penalty one. So this is the Statue of Liberty and she's blindfolded. It says, eye for an eye leaves us blind. And then she has 2 scales. So on one side she has eye for an eye, inadequate counsel, false confessions, racism, right? And that's weighing down. That's heavier than the other side, which is DNA, reform, justice, the 8th Amendment, innocence. So this was super clever here. That was the death penalty one. The hand washing one is here, and she created a poem. Okay, so you can kind of zoom in and read that. And then there's a folder of additional sample commentaries. And I did these separately so you can kind of see that these are not the ones that we've been working with all semester, but they're so good that I just had to, I had to give you these. So This is mental illness, and this person is swimming in stigma, right? I mean, there's so many good ones here. All of these are good. Transgender is a poem. There's one euthanasia one that's a poem. This is, I believe, a picture. Yeah. This is organ donation. And so the green symbol is for organ donors. And she did the clock like this because every 10 minutes someone dies because they don't receive the organ they need. Okay, and you can see the skeleton. So that's pretty eerie. But again, feel free to peruse this entire folder here. Travel ban, right? This is really good, right? I mean, I've had some pretty artistic students. However, don't be afraid. You can definitely do a poem, okay? Ocean pollution. This guy went to the beach and, you know, just put this in front, and that was his commentary. There's so many different things you can do. So go through here, kind of see what other students have done and see if that sparks anything for you. So that concludes our prompts. So throughout the semester, what I've done is I've basically just told you in each of the prompt folders to go back and return to paper resources and watch the section of the prompt that you need to watch for the given week. But you do have them all here in one video if you want to ever return to the paper resources tab. So I hope this has all been helpful and clear, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me.